ones that were just, in and out, you can just, not talk to them again because they're out doing their thing
Yeah.
anyway.
They're out
So yeah,
here.
so they're out drinking and drugging. So they ain't really. They might think about you, but they so involved in what they're doing. So there's like a you. I had to do possibly all of them. All the things. Just it's not just one thing. One thing you have to do all of them because you have so many different complex relationships.
Yes.
The closeness of them. So
Okay. So, moving forward for your future, which one do you think, or ones are you leaning towards doing to help you get to your desired outcome?
which ones? What?
Which method of, cutting people off?
Oh,
You said you talked to them straight up. You relocated. You just made changes. Which one do you think now is more suitable, or ones?
I think as my confidence builds, as my hours and minutes build, with my sobriety, I don't have much. I'm still on still considered an alcoholic and addict.
Hmm.
But as my confidence builds, and as I'm doing stuff like this, and more willing to step into a AA room, or more willing to share, because a lot of times in my addiction, it's a lot of isolation, a lot of guilt and shame. So you don't want to talk about this. You don't
Mm.
want to, unless somebody else is, unless somebody else understands and is right there with you. But you don't want to talk about this stuff. So I think the path that best fits me now is, you know, um, not to get too far in the future, but kind of take it as it comes, because,
Hmm.
and like I said, be willing to do it as it comes,
As it comes.
because you never know when you're out there. There's so many different people, so many different situations. So, you know, um, I might run into a family member that I've done something to,
Mm.
and I might have to talk to them right there on the spot,
On the spot. So yeah.
and tell them that, hey, I'm working on myself. I haven't had a drink today. I haven't used in a couple of days, or um, it might be somebody to where um, I say I changed my number. I hope you do well, and so it's like I think it's the willingness and being able to stand firm, and with with each situation, I think is it's been um, pivotal.
It's been pivotal.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay, Henry. Looks like we're running out of time here. So, what you think about today's session?
I loved it, man. I loved it. I hope that today, coming here and sharing some of my experience and sharing my some of my life, and that things are possible, and that I would like to leave saying that it is possible, and that um, one of the biggest keys for me is to know that I don't have to.
You don't have to.
I do not have to.
Hmm.
As much as I have a choice.
You have a
I
choice.
thought
That's
I
powerful.
didn't have a choice,
Hmm.
and I didn't have a choice because I believed I didn't have a choice.
Hmm.
Now I'm believing that I have a choice,